Hey everyone, welcome. I'm just gonna check that I'm live on the page. So if you're joining us now, hey, feel free to say hi in the chat box. And if you're watching the replay, then just skip ahead a minute or two because okay, that worked, because I need to double check that everything works. But that seems fine, so that's very exciting. So let me tell you what we're gonna talk about today. So first of all, this is the last session of the Do-It-Yourself Summer School, which is really sad and amazing at the same time. I feel like time has passed super, super quickly. And yeah, I mean, it was a really beautiful experience. I'm really grateful for all of you consistently showing up and posting questions in the group and emailing me, especially when I was ill. I was really touched when the week I had to reschedule my session. That was just wonderful. And it was really nice to kind of get a feeling for what you guys need help with and how I can support you. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful. If you're joining us just now and you haven't seen any of the previous sessions, that's totally cool. I do recommend that you start at the beginning if you have the time, because there is a sequence to the summer school that makes sense, and that we looked at branding first, and then we looked at how you can create a really beautiful opt-in offer and work with ConvertKit if that's what you choose. And then we talked about social media strategy. We had a session about developing an awesome website with WordPress, and I gave you a bit of background and for that. And now finally, we have come to a session in which we're talking about how you can create your own online course with Teachable. So you can join this session even if you already have an online course. I'm sure you can learn something. And you can also join if you're planning to use a different platform other than Teachable, because some of what I'm going to teach is really going to apply to any platform. So let me just double check again that everything is fine and you can see me okay. If you are seeing me or hearing me, I would love to hear from you and see that you have arrived and everything is fine. Please let me know. And and as always, you are super welcome to ask me questions throughout the session. So feel free to stop me and just say, hey, I have more questions on this. That's totally cool. Also, an announcement for those of you who feel like maybe you're a little bit behind or you need help implementing what we learned in the summer school. I'm currently developing a course on Teachable, which will go a lot deeper than what we can cover today. So this session today is really a taster. I want to help you get started creating an online course, and I want to help you figure out whether or not Teachable will be right for you or not as a platform. But as I said, there's going to be a really affordable online course that I'm currently developing that will really take you step by step through the process. And I'm also developing a group program that's going to start mid-September, where we're going to go through the 3 different online courses I'm running, which is branding with Canva, WordPress web design, and then course development with Teachable. And you will have, in addition to the courses and the step-by-step process, me on board as your tech support. There's going to be the group to chat to, and we'll have live webinars for added accountability. So I'm creating this because I want a really affordable option for people to learn how to just do this stuff themselves, and also a chance to offer you the accountability and support you need to really implement what you're learning. Because in my experience, I've done a lot of business-related courses, and some of them are really great and others not so much, but overall, there's always been a struggle to actually implement what I was going to do. So I'm going to email information about that out tomorrow, but just wanted to let you know that this isn't the end of everything. If you've been enjoying the summer school, then there will be an option to continue working with me. I think there's been a question. Oh, hi. I don't know who you are, but it's nice that you're here. I'm very excited to chat to everyone. Cool. So let's dive into it. I'm gonna just read out to you what I want to talk about today. So I have an introduction prepared where I want to tell you a little bit more about where I'm coming from with courses and how I've been teaching online courses in the past 2 years, and kind of a little bit about what that journey has been like and what I've learned. And I have a couple of tips for you in terms of choosing the right platform as well. As I said, I'm currently on Teachable and really, really like it, but I've also been on Gumroad and on Entreport, and I want to tell you a little bit about what that was like and what I would recommend really anyone looks out for before they choose a platform. And then I will tell you why I love Teachable so much. And then I want to talk about developing your course and what I recommend that you do as you prepare. So we're talking about everything from research to preparing your content production. And then I want to talk about the actual course developments, like how can you record your sessions, how can you bring them to Teachable, what's the right format. And then finally, I want to give you a tour of Teachable and show you what the backend looks like. And then you can ask me any questions as always. Does that sound good? Can I hear a yay? Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna check in the comment. Hi, Alexandra. It's nice to have you. That's wonderful. Okay, cool. So, how have I started teaching online courses? I have been running this business for 2.5 years now. I have always been, for the past 15 years, kind of been developing blogs and websites. So, and then 2.5 years ago, I started working full time as a web designer and online marketing consultant. And I did B School in the spring of 2015. And a big part of, hey, yay, a big part of what we learned was, of course, that online courses are a really great way to expand your reach. You can work with more people. You can you make your work more affordable, and you can create more income. That is definitely important as well. And when I was starting out in my first year in business, and I actually still do this now, I had a lot of friends requesting, help with their own websites. And that's something that's always been important to me. I love my work, and I also kind of want to give something back to the communities that I'm part of. So my initial motivation was that I wanted to create something that I could give to people that would help them really learn how to create their own website themselves, because I had so many like art projects and community stuff requesting help from me, and I always do a couple of free websites each year, but I was a bit overwhelmed with the feedback. So I was like, okay, rather than working on all these individual unpaid projects, I'm going to develop this online course, and then I can share that with my friends. So that was kind of my initial motivation. But of course, I also wanted to develop it for my own clients, because I realized as I slowly increased my prices, and I think they're still really affordable, but I found that some people just can't afford a web designer or some one-on-one support. But I also really believe that it's possible to teach yourself how to create a cool WordPress website, and also how to create your own branding with Canva. And yeah, I've seen some of you guys do really beautiful stuff in Canva, for example, after the first session that we had together in the beginning of July. And so that really just confirmed to me how much is possible. And I hear from people who take my courses all the time that it has really helped them feel less overwhelmed. They've become a lot clearer on where they're going in their business, and it has saved them a lot of time and given them more confidence, which I think is really great. So you can teach really anything on the internet. I have seen the most far-out stuff, from like cake decoration to pet setting, or anything related to online businesses, of course, is always really popular. But there's really no limit. If there's something that you really care about, then I would say consider starting an online course about it, because it's a beautiful way to reach more people and really encourage and empower each other. So when I started out at the beginning of 2015, there was a new legislation that meant that in the EU, if you were selling a pure online course, and by pure I mean one that doesn't have any one-on-one interaction, so where there isn't a personal component, then you needed to charge VAT in Europe depending on the country of the person that's buying from you. So that made stuff really complicated, and that legislation is actually still in place, so it's something that you need to look at. And that meant that many people that year chose a third-party platform that would host the online courses, do the process, the payment processing, and then also take care of VAT. And that was, in the beginning, the main reason why I chose Gumroad. So Gumroad is still around, and there's nothing wrong with it. My experience was just that it was pretty easy to set up, and the customer service was great, but it didn't like the user experience so much, and I didn't really love how it was possible to brand your product on there. I still think that Gumroad can be good for pretty easy downloads like music or PDFs or audio courses, but if you have a more complex course, then I think Gumroad is not the best choice for you. Let me just check on questions really quick. Hi, Kathy. Nice to have you. Good to see you. So yeah, I moved away from Gumroad and I in the spring last year, or was it winter? I'm not totally sure, but sorry about that. So I switched to Entreport because I knew more people were taking my courses. I was ready for the next step in my business, and I also wanted to move away from MailChimp as a newsletter provider. And so I made use of an offer that Entreport had. I paid about $147 a month, and that meant that I had enough, so that was covering my newsletter services, and it also created membership barriers. So I had a custom built WordPress site that I made myself, and then there was a login system and a payment system that came through Ontoport, and that was all custom built. And I thought that was a cool idea because I clearly knew how to do this, and I taught myself, and I was like, well, I'm a web designer, I know how to do this stuff. And I wanted this really beautiful, like very professional, branded, beautiful user experience. But I found really that A, it was pretty expensive at $147 each month. Um, I had to really sell quite a few courses to justify that. And at the same time, it took me a lot of energy and time to develop new courses and content. So that was just not as easy in my experience with Entreport. But again, Entreport can be right for some people. And if you have any questions on that or you need support, then do let me know. So then, finally, in the summer last year, I switched to Teachable, which was fairly new around the blog back then. And I got to know this platform as a student myself. So I was taking someone else's course, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I really love the user experience. I love how this looks. The price is okay, so I'm going to switch over. And I really have to say that switching over has taken me about a weekend, I would say, to really move over my content and set the payment gateways up, create beautiful graphics and all of that. But I'm really, really glad I did it. And I made a list of reasons why I love Teachable. I'm not currently an affiliate, but yeah, so just let you know, if you've got any questions, that's cool, let me know. I sincerely recommend this platform. I'm going to read out to you why after checking the comments again. Do you have to go to a site to answer the EU VAT question you mentioned? Yeah, I do, and I would love to give you a link. Actually, let me do that really quickly right now. Because it's really complicated and very annoying, and I just had a client yesterday asking me about this. So let me Google this really quickly. So I'm going to post a website from the EU, the European Commission, into the chat box now. But if you Google EU VAT online courses, there's a lot more resources that come up. And there's a lot of bloggers that have also written about this and possible solutions. And so, but basically what I would say is that it's not the end of the world. You just have to look into it and really decide whether that applies to you or not. And one thing to keep in mind also is, well, number one, that I can't give you legal advice. I'm really sorry. But the other thing to keep in mind is that if you are selling a package that includes some personal interaction, for example, if you have a Facebook group that people can ask questions in, and then they get direct feedback from you, that means that your product has a personal component, and then the VAT rule usually does not apply. But like I said, I can't really advise you on that, and I would really recommend that you research that properly and see if it applies to you or not. But that would be a good workaround solution. And the other thing is that platforms like Teachable or ThinkFig or Gumroad usually provide you with a way to have a payment gateway where the VAT is being collected right away, and they sort that out for you, and then you just get the net profit paid out into your account. So that's what I'm doing with Teachable, and I think is the best solution for most business owners. I hope that made sense. But yeah, let me know if you've got any other questions. I know it's a really overwhelming and very complicated thing. Yeah, but coming back to Teachable, so why do I love it so much? I think the user experience is really great. So as you log into your course, and we can look at that later when I'm showing you the Teachable demo, you can see kind of how far along you are in the course, and there's different ways of organizing your content. So you could, for example, have week 1, week 2, week 3, and then under each week you can have like an audio session, a video session, a PDF, whatever works best for you. You can present that in a really beautiful way, and everything can be branded, and people will see how far along in the course they are, and they can also access the course from any kind of device. So that's also really beautiful. I think that's a really important bit. Yeah, welcome. The other thing is you can create your own sales page, which I think is really great. You can upload graphics and banners, and you can work with different colors and stuff. So you can go back to session one, work with your branding, and dive deeper into Canva, and then you can really make your Teachable School look very beautiful and customized. The sales pages have some limitations, so some people choose to have a sales page on their own website and then have a really pretty simple teachable site page where people just pay, basically. That's totally up to you. Do have very simple sales pages on Teachable, and I have been meaning to look back onto them for a while now and haven't done that. But yeah, I've been pretty busy with the summer school, which is also great, but I will definitely look into them as well. And I'm just working on one for my clients. So there's room for improvement. They don't have to look necessarily like mine do right now. Customer care is pretty good. I've always received pretty quick responses, so I have set up a couple of schools for my clients as well, not just for myself. And whenever there's been a problem, I've heard back really quickly. And they also have a really extensive documentation. So if you go into the FAQ section or under help, there is a complete documentation really for anything that you might come up against in the process of setting up the school. You can have an affiliate network, which is important to me. So I have a couple of people that I'm working with who have similar audiences like me. And so they have an affiliate account with me. And then if they refer clients to my courses, they get a payout and everyone is really happy. That's great. You can use coupons and promotions. So if, for example, you want to have a summer sale or you want to give specific people free access to your courses, then there's this functionality that you can set that up. And that's that might not sound important to you right now, but I really think it is important. You have great statistics as well. And the reason why that is important is because it gives you a chance to really understand how people interact with your content. So for example, I have as you might know, I have two businesses. One is sarahmagdalenalove.com and one is daydreamingrose.com. And on each of them, I have a free mini course that people can sign up for. And then when they sign up, they get access to that particular free course on Teachable. And in my experience, all of us are pretty overwhelmed with stuff online. You might or might not agree. And a lot of the time we sign up for free stuff and we don't really engage with it. So it just, it was like a shiny object, but then we got distracted and we never really looked into it. And well, one way of working with that is that you have a really amazing nurture sequence. And if you're not sure what that means, you can go back to the session in which we talked about newsletter opt-ins. I think that's quite important. But the other thing is also that you can look into the stats of your online courses to see kind of where people dropped off. So how often do people log into your course while it's running? How fast do they go through the different lesson if it's like a self-paced course? Are there particular questions that kind of keep coming up at the same point in the course? I think that is all really valuable information that you can get from Teachable. So I think that's another bit that I find really important. Cool. Does that make sense? That would kind of conclude my reasons why I think Teachable is great. And if you have any extra questions, then I would really love to hear and help you out with that. Otherwise, hi, hey, nice to see you. I'm just going to refresh to make sure I'm getting all your comments. Otherwise, I would move ahead and tell you what I would recommend to people in terms of developing your course. And I just want to kind of give you a little bit of a pep talk because I feel I work with clients all the time who are like, I have this thing that I really care about, but I just don't know where to start. I don't know what people want to know or like how I can teach them, or I'm not really sure if I could really sell my course. And the answer is always yes. Yes, you can develop a course, you can sell your course, you can find the right people. There's just a few things that you have to keep in mind before you get started, and you have to just do it. Like that's the main thing. Every time I work with a client at the end of the process of course development, they're like, oh man, I wish I had done that earlier. And it is so much easier than I thought it was. And I think there is a lot in that. And, the resistance is real for good reasons. And I'm really not judging you. I think creating an online course can bring up a lot of stuff for us because it means we really have to understand ourselves as an expert. We have to give our name to something that people can access in their own time where there's not necessarily a real interaction with us. And it's just out there in the world, it's going to have your face on it. And that is a bit scary. but it's also really beautiful, and I think we have so much to teach each other, and I think we should really make use of all these technologies we now have in the best way that we can. So, whew, yeah, that was just a little bit of a pep talk. But I would say one tip I have, really speak to your audience, even if you just have 20 people on Facebook, or if you can just speak to your friends or your hairdresser, really try to gather as much information as possible about the people that are interested in your subject so that you can really get super clear on who you're talking to and what these people are struggling with. And um, if you're a health coach working with moms, for example, maybe go to your kid's school and ask around and just be really friendly and non-salesy and say like, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I'm really just trying to create a really beautiful call that is meaningful or like useful for people like you, and if I have a couple of questions, would that be okay? If you already have a newsletter list or even a bigger following online, you can of course also create a little survey, which I have done 2 weeks ago, about what we can do next in the summer school. And the tool that I recommend for that is called Typeform. And so typeform.com has a free version, super simple to quick set up. You can ask people like between 3 and 5 questions. Don't make it too long because otherwise they will just get bored and not do it. But ask them a couple of questions and just try really to research before you go into the course development. If you're part of other Facebook groups, make use of them as well. There's usually a sharing thread where you can say, hey, I'm in the research and development stage of my course, and I would love to, have you answer a few questions, and you can win a free session with me, or you can win a spot on the future course, or whatever you can offer, really. Then I would say think about creating sales funnels. And so sales funnels can sound a little bit like hard cold marketing, and I get that. And I want to explain that they can mean different things. So yes, this can mean that you are leading people through an experience that ultimately has the purpose of selling them something. But I would say I'm coming from a different perspective here. So, as business owners, we have a choice. And so, for example, one of the choices that we can make is, how do we attract people to our work? Do we spend money on ads, or do we create a lot of free content that gets shared around, that is useful to people, that engages them, and that will ultimately lead a few of them to buy our stuff? And that's kind of the journey that I want to model here, because I think it's really beautiful, and I think there's a lot to explore in our own relation to that. So I feel, for example, that it's been a really beautiful experience to run this summer school, and I have no hard feelings whatsoever about the fact that most of you will never buy anything from me. That's just what it is. That's totally cool. Like, and we got to know each other. You got to come to these sessions. You got the downloads. You were in my group, and that was awesome, and the alternative would have been to sell my course or the program that's coming up in September to like a cold audience and spend a lot of money on ads. And of course, you can do both the things. And I had ads for the free sign up for the school as well. But it's just like, I really love this experience that we can share so much these days. And that's really pretty easy and free to share that kind of content. And I think that's how I see sales funnels, really. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. Like, please let me know if not, or ask me questions. But when I say create a sales funnel that makes sense, what I mean by that is, think about what you want to offer people in the end, and then think about the whole experience of them getting to know you, and think about whether that all makes sense. And so what I mean by that is, in my business, in the web design business, I am attracting people that run their own business, that want to learn about tech stuff, that are interested in design. Some of them want to work with me one-on-one eventually. But you can see that there's a really big overlap in what these people have in common. And so it doesn't make sense for me at all to attract people who are interested in healthy living, or like vegan food, or yoga, or meditation. And so having an entry point at my sales funnel that is super specific makes a lot of sense. So my end program is the do-it-yourself courses that I'm running and the group program that's coming up and the one-on-one work. So at the beginning, I have experiences that are free, like I have the do-it-yourself branding and design starter kit, I've got the summer school, I've got a workbook. All of this is related and relevant to people that might eventually turn up to, buy my group program or the courses or work with me one-on-one. And so that is a sales funnel in itself. And what I need to do is think about the experiences that people have in the different stages, and I need to give them a chance to get to know me and get to know my work. And I need to understand that most of them won't buy, and that's okay, and but I get to share the stuff that I care about. And I think so that's a real mindset stuff going on here, if that makes sense. And the next tip I have is to really make sure that you're solving a tangible problem. And so, again, as you know, I have a second business, which is daydoingwalls.com, which I dearly love. And I love creating that podcast. I love writing over there. And what I'm eventually going to offer there is also exciting me. I'm not totally sure and very clear on that yet. But my experience is that the web design stuff and online marketing is in some ways easier to sell because it solves a very tangible problem for people, because I have a community of online business owners that have these tech challenges, like how do I make my website look good, like how do I start working on my first course. And so I can solve their problems in a really easy way, and that isn't as clear to me yet on the Day Doing Walls, which is fine because that's not my primary business and I know I'm going to get there. But that's just something really important to keep in mind. And again, I think this feeling that you can get about solving people's problems comes through engagement in Facebook groups, on social media, through your newsletter, in really inviting people to let you know what they're struggling with and really letting them know that you want to help them, and that you're not judging them for asking stupid questions, because there are no stupid questions. And then I would recommend that you think about speaking to different kinds of learners. So if you think about your own experience at school or in online courses that you've taken, think about what has been easy or hard for you and what kind of learner you are. And then also think about what other people might have, how other people might have different learning styles. So some people, for example, if you're planning to work with really busy moms, it might be great for them to be able to download audio content from your course. If you feel like you have a very personal subject where you really care to show your face, then video content might be better for you. And you also want to give people the chance to sit down with some writing and print something off, or even have like a course workbook delivered to their house if that is the easiest way for them. So really think about meeting people where they're at, and remember that people have different learning styles as you develop your course content. And then I would say create a rich experience without being overwhelming. And that is maybe sounding a bit abstract, but I invite you to sit with that a little bit. And what I mean by that is, I think when we really care about a subject, it's really easy to just want to share everything there's to know about that subject, and really kind of like give people all the information and like call it a mini course, and then have 20 video sessions in it that are in total like 10 hours long or something. And so before you start even giving your course a title or sitting down and producing it, I would really invite you to think about who you're talking to and where they're at in their journey. So if you're talking to absolute beginners on the subject, then there needs to be a really gentle introduction. There needs to be space to ask questions. If you want to work with people who already have some experience in that subject and you want to bring them to the next level, that is of course a different approach. So again, be really clear on that, and think about how you want to space things out over time, and what would be just enough but not too much and not too little. And again, that's something that you can do research about. So ideally, I would recommend that you have a friend or someone you really trust go through your course and give you a little bit of feedback about whether or not it was overwhelming, easy to understand, if they feel there was something missing. All of that is really important information that can help you create a course that is really just perfect for what you're trying to do. Does that all make sense so far? I would love to hear. If you've got any additional questions, do let me know. Otherwise, I would talk a little bit more about course production and how I've done stuff and how I would recommend you do stuff, because I've made a couple of mistakes that I recommend you don't do. So The first kind of evolution of my online course, I filmed in Berlin at home, and I had a fair enough camera. It was a Nikon D5100, and I had a flip screen, which I really loved because I could see myself while I was recording. So that felt really useful to me. But honestly, I think nowadays you can do this. You can do it with you can use the built-in camera that I'm using right now on my MacBook, or you can even, if you have a quite good smartphone, you can use the camera in there. And on Amazon, you can find all kinds of tripods where you can kind of like lock your phone, lock your phone into place, and then work with that camera that way. You need quite a bit of storage space on your phone to check if that works. But yeah, that's how I did it. So I was at home and I just cleared the background, which I didn't do here clearly. And then I started recording, and I had my different sessions mapped out, and I kind of tried to have nice makeup and good lighting, but I wasn't overthinking it. And I gave myself some support by making some notes, like an outline of what I wanted to talk about in each session, and then I kind of stuck that to the camera so I could look at it and like still look towards the camera but read my notes at the same time. I think that first course was awkward in some ways, just because I was so inexperienced with the camera and really nervous. And that just came across, which was a bit of a shame. So if I did this again, which I will because I'm making more courses, I would just give myself a bit more time to practice. I would run more webinars. Has been a really great experience to gain confidence. And I would also, on the day of production, just give myself a bit more time, because time pressure is really the enemy if you're on video and you're a bit shy and nervous about that. So that's something good to keep in mind. And then, as I said, I uploaded everything into Gumroad. I created a workbook that came along with that course, and that's how I did it. And I think the production for this first course took me about 3 days. And then in spring the next year, I hired a really nice hotel room with like a exposed brick wall and a big desk, and I had a nice setup and created a bit of a scene. I also had a softbox, which is like a tripod with a really big light bulb and something that kind of diffuses the light a little bit. So right now I'm sitting in front of my window, which is quite okay lighting. Could be better, but oh well, you know. But the softbox creates really beautiful lighting, so I paid $20 for that. I had that in the hotel room, and I had it for 2 nights, and took 2.5 days to do all my recordings for the next evolution of that course. And that looked a little bit better. I did the same thing of having my camera on a tripod, sticking the notes to it, speaking into the camera. I was still nervous as hell, but it turned out a little bit better. And interestingly, I then re-recorded the course again this year in June, and what I did this time is kind of going back to basics a little bit, and I mainly did screen recording. So I'm using a software called ScreenFlow, and you can bring up presentations on your screen, and then you can follow along with the camera. And I found that made a lot of sense for me in my case, because I wanted to take you behind the scenes, so really seeing like step by step what I'm doing as I'm teaching you how to build a website or how to work with Canva to do your branding. And so it really depends, but basically all of this to say, the course production really doesn't have to be hard. Make it super easy for yourself. Get the minimum of equipment that you need. See if you can use the camera and the microphone you already have. I've got this one now, that's what you're listening to, as a 50 quid on Amazon, but you really don't necessarily need that. So really just, don't let the lack of equipment hold you back, because it's really not the end of the world if you're just using built-in microphones and cameras. And if you just have normal lighting, just experiment what you can do with in your home with really clearing the background, seeing that the lighting is as nice as possible. I would also say, think about branding, think about what you're going to wear in your videos and what the colors in the background are going to be like, because you're eventually going to embed this material onto your either the course platform on Teachable or your own website. So it's really nice to have that be branded. Have the scripts ready, so find a way to help you kind of read from the script but at the same time looking into the camera, or just write it down in a book and then create audio sessions. That's totally fine as well. And then have a friend test everything. So before you publish, always have someone test everything. Someone that isn't you. You can do your own testing, that's great, but really have someone else look at it as well. Cool. If you don't have any more questions, I would love to show you my Teachable backend a little bit. So I'm just going to refresh here and see if there's any more questions. Maybe not. That's great. That's wonderful. Maybe it's just all very clear. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and then I want to show you the backend of my Teachable school. And 1 second. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so I am screen sharing. That's great. I wanted to show you first the Teachable, the different packages that you can sign up for. So it's teachable.com. What I have is the basic course. There's a free version as well, which they're kind of not really showing you. But if you go all the way down, it says here, try our free plan, and that might just be right for you. There's a couple of things you can't do with that, but if you're just starting out and you wanted to test that, that might be for you. So with the 39 one, you have 5% transactions fee. You get a monthly payout with a 30-day delay. You get product support. You can create coupon codes. You can drip your content out. So if you have a program that runs over time, you can drip it. You can have integrated affiliate marketing. You can integrate your email marketing Odoo, so you can send out automated emails through Teachable. But if you have the chance, I would recommend that you send them through your own newsletter provider. And as you know, that's Teachable that I recommend because they're just a lot more beautiful and branded, and you can work with them in a little bit more depth. And then you have third-party integrations. So the integration that I'm using is Zapier, which is $20 a month. You don't totally need that, but what it does for me is it connects Teachable and ConvertKit. So each time someone signs up for a free Teachable course, they automatically get on my ConvertKit newsletter and they receive the sequence. With paid Teachable courses, that is a free integration, so you wouldn't necessarily need Zapier. But if you have free courses on Teachable, as I do for my free opt-in freebie, then they need to be connected through Zapier. You can upgrade. Most people don't need this, but this would be good if you want to have your own payment gateways. So that's interesting for your cash flow, because if you have this plan, you can have your own payment gateways through PayPal or Stripe, and then you can get instant payouts. But then you also need to deal with your own refunds. So if you're on this plan and Teachable handles all your payments, then they also handle your refunds. So that's something important to keep in mind. If you sign up for Teachable, the first dashboard that you're going to see is this one here. And then here you can see other schools that you enrolled in. You can create a new school here. This is interesting. If you have different businesses, you could split it up and have different schools. I just have one, which is the Online Awesomeness School. And then if you select that, you end on this dashboard here. And so I've not sold any courses today, hence there's no revenue, but you can usually see that here. And here on the side, you also have a live stream kind of showing who has been logging in or buying, or how people have engaged with your course. And again, I think that's really interesting to kind of get a better feeling for your audience. If you want to check out the basic settings of your school, you can do so here on the side. So you give your school a name, and then there's a homepage heading, and you can give it a description. You would have an email that goes with it. And then if you scroll down, there's like a couple of basic settings that you can look at. For example, you can decide whether or not you want to autoplay your videos. You can decide how many authors you will have, if you're going to allow people to comment on each section. And then you can also create a blog. Obviously, I recommend that you have your blog on your WordPress site. But if you don't have a website yet, and instead you have just a Teachable school, then that is something that you could consider. Cool. On this side here, you can also do a little bit of background SEO and branding work. So again, if you're not sure how to create graphics that you can use here, go back to the first session that we had and look into working with Canva. But basically, you can upload your homepage background here. You can have this logo here, and then the favicon is always in Google, which is not what we're using here, but in Chrome, you would see that at the top here. And let me show you what my school looks like. So you can find it under onlineawesomeness.school.com. You've got the logo at the top here. I'm already logged in now, but so what I would see if I wasn't logged in is this overview here. And so you can see my different courses as well as the bundle. This is the free one for Daydreaming Walls. This is the free one for Salar Magdalena Love. And then these are the two current courses I have, and that's the bundle. Oh, sorry, these are the two courses that I currently have, and that is a bundle of two of them together. Cool. If you want to create a new course, you would two courses here and then press create new, and then you would give it a title, a subtitle, and then a description. So let's just test that really quickly. The subtitle is also test, and I'm going to call it test here. So this is kind of the first description that people see of the course, and it's also going to be part of the sales page that you're creating. Then you would say create course. And then here you can dive right into the curriculum. So you can create different sections. So for example, I would say this is week 2. Oops. And I say create section. So I have week 1 and week 2. And now I can use these different sections and start different lectures under each of them. So I would say new lecture, and then I would call this welcome and just confirm the name. And now here I can add a file or I can add text. If I have a video that I've embedded on Vimeo or YouTube, for example, I can just copy and paste the code in here and say add text. If I have a file, like an audio file, for example, I would just upload that into Teachable here. You can also upload videos, but if they're very long, I would recommend that you host them on Vimeo or YouTube instead and make them private. Then you can add a quiz here, which is really explains itself. And you can also upload PDFs in here. So you would eventually have a couple of different lectures under each of your sections. And you can go back to the sections and you should see the first one here. You can move them up and down, or you can move them around. And then another important setting to look at is that you can make them a free preview. So if you want to get people the chance to kind of get a feeling for the course, you can tick this box under a couple of sections, and then they will be visible. And then if you click on this here, you can make this content downloadable as well. And you can unpublish here. You can also bulk upload if you have a premium plan, and you can preview your section here. So here you can see I don't have a branded graphic at the top here, but this is the basic layout of what the course is going to look like. And I can show you what it looks like if you have everything set up. So here you've got the branding, you can see how far along I am, and you can click on each of these sections and then say, you can start the video, and then once you watch it, you can say complete and continue, and then you get to the next session. So this is what I mean when I said I think it's a really beautiful experience, a good user experience, and it's very branded as well. Cool, so let's pretend we filled all of this up and we're happy with that. We would then choose a pricing plan. So you can make this free. If you want to offer a freebie, that would be great. You can make it a subscription. So Teachable is also a great way to create a membership platform. You can just upload new content each month, and you can get people to sign up for a subscription and pay a monthly fee. Or you can make it a one-time purchase or a payment plan. So in most cases, if you offer a course, I would say you have a one-time payment, and let's say that's $99, and then I want to add a payment plan as well. So you might also, in addition to that, offer people the chance to pay $50 twice. And so it's as easy as that. Now I have these two different payment options. And then I would say publish. And that's it really. So I can see my sales page here, which is pretty blunt right now. So it's just test, and there's no content here. This is the bio that we have here by default. But if you go one step back into our test course, we can go, so here on the side, you can also always go back into the settings that you might have set up on a very basic level as you first published the course. So here you can go back into your curriculum and upload no lectures or move them around. You can change the pricing here. Here is where you can work with the drip. You can enable and look at the comments here. You can set up coupons for the specific course here. You can look at the bundle content. If this is a bundle, this is how you can do that. And then here you can work on the sales page. So as you can see, you have the course description here. You can add different elements to the sales page. The curriculum will be there by default, but all of these elements don't have to be there. So if, for example, this is not a bundle, you can just delete that block. If you don't want to have the FAQ section, you can just delete that. And if you want to add something in, you would hover over the space between these two sections, and then you would say insert a blog, and then you can either add more text, you can add an image or a video, and there's a couple more options here. So you can see that you can put your own sales page together that way. And I would recommend, if you're not sure about this, go to, or you can check out My School, or you can also go to examples here under Teachable and see what other people have been doing. So these are people that are really highly successful on Teachable, and you can see what kind of sales pages that they have created and how that has worked for them. You can also customize your checkout page, which is something I really recommend. You can add a testimonial here. You can kind of repeat what the perks are of signing up, and then you can customize your thank you page. And there's also a new option here to convert to upsell offers. So if, for example, you have several different courses and someone signs up for one of them, you can say, hey, if instead of just taking this one course, you want to sign up for my bundle, here's a discount since you've already signed up. So that's another really great feature that Teachable has that I think is awesome. And then you can preview everything, and then when you're happy, you go back and you save it. And that's it, really. So I hope this has given you some content. Let me just stop sharing my screen and come back to you. Hi! I really hope this has given you some content, some confidence, and a feeling for the fact that it isn't actually as hard as you might think. So all you have to do is give yourself some headspace to really come up with a great course idea, do some research, think about your audience and the user experience that you want to create, think about who you're going to talk to and how you're going to talk to these people, and then give yourself a good time, enough time to do the course production itself. Make that as easy as possible for yourself. Don't think that you have to have certain equipment to make it be great. It can be great with really, free tools or what you have around. And then choose the platform that is right for you, and consider what I said about Teachable and why it's so great. So another option, if you don't want to use Teachable, is of course to have some kind of payment gateway, and then to deliver your content through email as well. That's another thing that you could do. But I really like to offer people a space that they can keep coming back to download all the stuff. So this is why, there's another reason why I chose Teachable. Do you guys have any questions? I'm gonna come back and just refresh the chat to see if there's any questions. And as always, you can also ask me in the Facebook group. It's never too late. If you're watching this replay, you're still welcome to ask questions. Just come to the Facebook group or email me, and I will be there. I am also going to email everyone tomorrow about the chance to keep working with me in September in the group program, so that by the end of the year, you're really going to have an awesome website. Your branding is going to be on point. You're going to be so proud of yourself, and you're going to have your first membership site or group program or self-study course ready. One more note that I forgot to talk about, really sorry about that, is the question, should you have an evergreen course or a group experience that is live? And so let me tell you about the difference. An evergreen course is what I'm currently teaching. So you can sign up for my do-it-yourself web design and branding courses anytime, and you can do these at your own pace. And that's the right choice for my business, because people just know when they're ready, and that is not usually not like, oh, I know in 3 months' time I'm going to need a website. And also people go through the process of teaching themselves tech stuff in their own way. And some people need a lot of time and a lot of encouragement and handholding, and they can have that. And others just go through it in a weekend and they build something really great in 3 days' time, and that's totally possible. And so that's why I chose that to be an evergreen. But the group experience that we're going to do together from September is obviously going to be live, and we're going to go through the courses together with hand-holding. And then the other option is what I've just described, that you have a certain time by which people have to have signed up for your course, and then you're going to take them through the course experience week by week life, and you're going to engage with them. And so some people will miss the sign up period, or like some people might actually be really motivated to have a reason to sign up in a certain time period. And it really depends. For me personally, I would say it's been really nice to teach evergreen courses for 2 years before I now start my first group experience, because I'm such an introvert and because I really needed some time to get used to hold space for hundreds of people. And there has been hundreds of people in the summer school. We don't have that many people showing up live for the webinars anymore, because that is to be expected. Like, people drop out of stuff and holding people's attention is quite hard. But why I also have 500 people in the group now, so for me it was really great to get used to that, and to get confidence in holding that kind of space. So that is what I would recommend. Just feel into what is best for you. If what you teach is very personal and you feel that people will definitely need one-on-one support or some kind of hand-holding from you, then a group experience might be good. Or you can offer an evergreen course and then offer people the chance to book extra one-on-one sessions with you. So for example, if you're offering a really affordable evergreen nutrition program, you can say, hey, you can do this in your own time over the next 8 weeks. You can start whenever you want. I'm going to teach you everything I know. If you get overwhelmed at any point and you feel you need extra support, then this is the way that you can work with me and book extra sessions. So, you can mix and match different things, and it's so individual. If you're not sure what the right choice is for you, then come to the group, post there, let us know what you're working on, and I'm really happy to advise you. Gonna give you another chance to ask a question, but otherwise that will be it for today. I would love to hear what your ideas are, if you have anything in mind that you maybe want to run a course about, and if you're scared or if you're just really excited, and if you think you can do it, that would be great to know. And again, I'm going to be in the Facebook group, so if you're watching the replay or if you're too shy to ask your questions right now, then really feel free to post in there. Thank you so much for coming, guys. It's been really beautiful to share about online courses with you, because I really love them. I think they're great. Have a beautiful day and hopefully see you soon. I would love to stay in touch, even though this was officially the last session for now. Oh, there's a question. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Have a beautiful day. Bye.